Hi everyone, I am Ursula and welcome to your Astro-Herbalism little mini video demo here. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this presentation I put together for us. Okay, beautiful. So yes, like I said, we're going to be crafting some herbal blends with your chart today. I'm going to walk you through how to make some tea blends based off of your big three, your sun, moon, and rising. And then we're going to go into how to make salves that'll work with the dominant elements in your chart. So let's get started. This is what we're going to be going through today. Should be pretty quick and simple. Sorry, let me go back to that for you. So we'll start with a little intro. We're going to pull up your birth charts. I'll show you how to do that if you don't know how. And then we're going to go into tea blends. I'll walk you through it. We'll do a little demo at the end. And then same with the salves. And that will be it. One thing I will say before we get started is please make sure that you've downloaded the Astro-Herbalism PDF guide that goes with this video. You can find a link to that. Because it has a lot of really good herb ideas. It has a lot of good combinations so that you're not having to do all of the research yourself. Okay, great. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to pull up our birth charts. So you might already have your birth chart handy. You might already know your sun, moon, and rising. But in case you don't, you are going to go to this link right here. It's on astroseek.com. It's a great website. You're going to plug in your birth information. If you don't know what time you were born, that's totally fine. We'll just work with your sun and your moon, and we'll skip your rising for now. Your rising sign is also going to be known as your ascendant, so don't get confused with that. And then you should end up with something like these. So this is your birth chart wheel right here on the left. And then on the right side, it has a nice little breakdown of all of your planets. So we're looking at sun. So my sun is in Virgo, moon, my moon is in Taurus, and then this AC right here, this ascendant. So my ascendant is in Libra. Okay, so if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that and come back when you have your sun, your moon, and your rising signs. Okay, great. All right, so like I said, today we're going to start with herbal tea blends, working with your sun, your moon, and your rising. And the idea behind these blends is going to be to work on pushing up your strengths, right? Emphasizing the strengths in your chart and de-emphasizing or working with the challenges. Okay. So why are we looking at the sun sign, moon sign, rising sign? They're kind of the most core, basic, good places to start. So your sun sign is going to be your essence, your personality. It's really the core of what makes you you. Your moon sign is like your internal world. It's all of your emotions, your intuition, your gut feelings, all that good stuff, how you are experiencing the world. And then also your ascendant or your rising sign, which is a really key element in the chart. It is how you are perceived by others, but it's also the sign that you're working on embodying and moving into as you go throughout your life. So those are the ones we're going to be looking at. Now, in the Astro PDF, let me show you real quick. Let me pull it up for you. So this is what the PDF looks like. This is the cover page. And then if you scroll down to really one of the first pages, it has it laid out by signs. Okay, so if I'm going to be looking at my sun, so I'm going to be looking at Virgo. I'm going to be looking at my moon, so Taurus, and my rising, Libra. So Virgo, Taurus, Libra, whatever your big three, those are the ones you're going to be looking for. So I have it kind of broken down. So Taurus, some of my challenges, impatience, stubbornness, with Virgo, perfectionism, worrying, criticism, going down to Libra, indecisiveness. So right now we're really identifying what are kind of the main challenges I struggle with. If you have ones that aren't on this list, feel free to use those instead. Okay, great. Let me stop that. And let me go back to this guy. Come here, little buddy. There we go. Okay. Oh, come here. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to identify your challenges. So take out something to write with. You can take notes on your phone, on your computer, but we are going to identify one or two challenges that we want to work with these herbal tea blends. So the idea is that when you drink these tea blends, it's going to really help balance out your body. So for the purposes of this demo and my chart, I'm going to work on lack of decision making due to perfectionism, right? And worry. Okay, that's going to be my challenge. So go ahead and pause this video, write down your own challenges that you want to work with. Great. Okay, next we are going to write down the opposite of the challenge that you came up with. And this is because this is what we're going to be encouraging with the blend, right? So if my challenge was indecisive decision making, lack of trust that things are going to work out, the opposite of that is going to be very decisive decision making, very focused, with a trust and a relaxation that things will work out. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And like I said, this is the goal that we're trying to accomplish with our blend. Let's go ahead and pause the video and write down your opposite. Now, as the fun part, you get to find the herbs that support your goal. So like I said, in the Astro-Herbalism PDF, I have a bunch of herbs, a bunch of combinations, and some resources there to help you do the research. There are really good books on the subject. You can also do a quick Google search. Just make sure that the herbs that you are looking at are safe to drink, are safe to put in tea, because sometimes herb lists will include all the herbs and not necessarily the ones that we can ingest. Okay. So for the purposes of this, I was really focusing on focus and clarity, right? That decisive decision making, and then also relaxation and trust. So I invite you to do come up with like 2 to 3 herbs per thing you're trying to work on. You could do more. It's just to give yourself a lot of different options so that when you're making your blend, you're not like stuck, right? Okay. Cool. So I have some herbs down there. Focus and clarity, rosemary, hibiscus, peppermint, relaxation and trust, lemon balm, lavender, chamomile, all those good things. Excellent. And if you're doing this work and you need my help and you want to find some herbs for like a really specific goal, feel free to email me. It's astrologywithursula@gmail.com, and I can help you find some good resources or help you pick your blend as well. Cool. So pause this video. I'd recommend going to the PDF first, and then from there you can do Google. And then once you have your list of herbs, come on back. Okay. As you're doing your research or after you have your list, please make sure that the herbs you have that you're going to go get from your local herb store or online, Mountain Rose Herbs online is a really good online store. But making sure the herbs are safe to drink. For example, there are 2 kinds of lavender. There's commercial use lavender, where people put it in, sachets and pillows and things like that. And then there's culinary grade lavender, which is safe to eat and cook with, and you want that culinary grade lavender. So make sure you're getting herbs that are safe to eat. Very important. And then also very important, before you start any of this, like actually making the blend, please, please, please check for interactions with your medications or with any health conditions that you have. If you have a lot of medications, health conditions, or even if you don't, it's always really good to check with your doctor, because even though this is holistic and, very subtle in the body, they can have really, really strong interactions. Let's see, ashwagandha, for example, may interact with like birth control, valerian, and some of those really like calming herbs like skullcap can interact in your liver. And that's not to put you off of using them, but it's just to make sure that you are informed on what these herbs are going to be doing and how they're going to be affecting you before you're putting them in your tea or on your body. Cool. Lovely. Now that you have your list of herbs or you have the herbs themselves, I want you to think about what is going to taste good together. Because, for example, on my list, peppermint and hibiscus, gross, gross. I don't want a blend that has peppermint and hibiscus personally. Um, so I'm gonna leave, one or the other out if I want to use those. And I encourage you to experiment. If you don't have a lot of experience with what herbs taste like, you can always smell them or just try them. Try a small batch of the blends, and it might taste good, it might taste bad, but you never know. Okay, cool. And definitely keep track of which combinations you try so that you can revisit your favorites. Okay, so once you have your kind of tasty recipe, we're going to combine them. And this is a really lovely time to set your intention. If you want to light some incense, if you want to have some crystals around you, and really pour that love and specific intention into your herbal blend as you're working it with your hands. And you can measure it out. Sometimes I like to do like 1 tablespoon of each to keep it balanced and then modify from there. Or you can just do it based on how you're feeling. It's really an intuitive process. And then once you have your herbs combined, I would put them in an airtight container that's dry so that I get moldy. And glass is always best. Plastic's totally fine if that's what you have, but sometimes the plastic can kind of leach into the herbs over time, and we don't necessarily want that. So glass is always the best, but work with what you have. I have some in like a plastic baggie right now because I didn't have any other containers. So it's not a big deal either way. But for long-term storage, glass is best. Cool. All right. And then once you have your blend, you're of course going to make your tea. So you're kind of using either a tea strainer or reusable tea bags are pretty cool. And I would recommend starting with 1 or 2 tablespoons per cup you're making, and you can adjust it based on how you like it. And then as far as steeping goes, it's really going to depend on your blend. I'd say start with 3 to 5 minutes, usually a good number. Some herbs get really bitter really quickly. Some need a little bit longer because they're more subtle. So you'll be able to adjust the more you make it and the more you work with it. It's really a process that you're in with the herbs. Okay, lovely. And then the whole thing should look a little bit like this. Let me speed this up. Okay, this might be too fast, but here we go. So this is kind of the whole process. Great. So I'm starting by measuring out my herbs. So for this blend, I picked hibiscus, red raspberry leaf. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting what I put in there. Lemon balm, lemon balm, and one more. I should have this ready, but I will look it up and I will tell you in just a moment. Lovely. Okay. So that is the process. So let's see, we have it here. Holy basil. That was the fourth one. So I had holy basil to really focus on that like clarity and that focus of the mind. Red raspberry to really nourish the nervous system, again, working on calming. And then hibiscus, one, because it's just the best flavored thing ever, in my opinion. But also for that really that opening of the body, right? That red, like passion, fire, like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. Um, and then why am I forgetting the fourth one? I'm so sorry, guys. My memory is. Oh, and then lemon balm, because lemon balm is really wonderful for calming, for developing that trust, and for being able to go through your day with a sense of inner security. Okay, lovely. I made like 10 different blends, which is why I had trouble remembering which one I really ended up focusing on. So apologies for that. Okay, great. So let's go back to this guy. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. At the end, you will have a lovely blend that you can use and modify and have a lot of fun with. Okay, great. So let's go into herbal salves now. Um, so if you don't know, salves are a lovely moisturizing balm that you can put on your skin. And what we're going to be working on is balancing the elements in your chart. So we all have earth, air, fire, and water. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how to find out which one is dominant in your chart. And the way I really like to use these balms is again to help calm and soothe, to mitigate any challenges, to really bring out the strengths. And you can use it as like just skincare. You can use it to as more like aromatherapy throughout your day. You can use it in your spiritual practices and your self-care. It's really flexible. So here we have the elements broken down. So with an earth dominant chart, we're really working on uplifting any stagnant or understimulated energy, bringing that up. With air, it's kind of the opposite. We're really calming this area right here, our overactive mental state. Air signs tend to get really in their heads. So we want to kind of calm that down. With fire, the fire energy state is like overactive kind of everywhere and all over the place. So we're kind of softening that. We don't want to take it away. It's very wonderful energy, but we want to soften it so that it's a little bit nicer to work with. And then for water, we want to focus that energy into purposeful action. Water dominated charts tend to have a lot of like psychic energy, a lot of intuition, a lot of feelings going on. And that can be kind of hard to get things done, right? Or to move through our life. So we want to kind of gently focus. So underneath these, I have a couple examples. So some uplifting herbs. We have peppermint, sage, rosemary for earth signs. Air signs, calming herbs, lavender, chamomile, valerian, and so on and so forth. So I'll give you a second to look at those. And then, so how do you find your dominant element in your chart? You might already know it. You might want to just pick one intuitively. But if you want a chart, this is a really cool website. It's also going to be on AstroSeek. So click that link, put in your birth chart information just on the top part, and then you will end up with something like this. So as you can see, here's the element. Earth is super, super dominant in my chart, 59.26%. But I have kind of an unbalanced chart. If you have a very balanced chart, I would just pick one or mix and match. Okay, but for the purposes of the salve today, we're gonna go with an earth salve. Okay, cool. So go ahead, pause this video, find your dominant element, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so that's an outdated figure right there. I said I had 75 earth because I was guessing, but I don't. I have 60%. So you're going to look at the dominant element in your chart. And you might want to work with the dominant element. You might also want to work with the element that you have the least of in your chart, right? I have not a lot of water. So for another salve, next time I might make a water salve to kind of bring more balance. So again, it's a very intuitive process and it's very much up to you. So I chose to do a blend of a rosemary, desert sage, chamomile, and I added some lavender in just for the skin soothing elements of lavender. And also because I have the second most element in my chart is air. And so I really want to bring in some of that calming energy with that lavender. Okay, great. So, yeah, so take a little bit of time to think about which elements dominate your chart, which ones do you resonate the most, and which one do you want to work with to make a salve. Okay, beautiful. So the next step, the first step, I guess, after that is to make your herbal oil. Now, there are two ways to do this. There's a quick method, more active, and a more passive, slower method. So the more passive method is you put your herbs, you grind them up, and you put your herbs in an oil, a carrier oil. So like um, coconut oil, jojoba oil, grapeseed oil, apricot kernel. Um, any of those will work really well. If you just search carrier oils on Google, you can find another list. And you put your crushed herbs in the oil and leave it for, let's say, about 48 hours. And you can look up online for specific herbs, how long they like to be in oil, but you can start with 48 hours. It'll be a good number to start with. Now, if you want it a little faster, you can put it in a double boiler. So you put water on in a saucepan on the stove, and then you put a glass bowl in it, and you very, very gently boil the water, making sure the bowl is in the water and it's not touching the bottom. I'll show you in the demo what I mean. And you put your oil in there, you put your crushed herbs in there, and you let it just very gently boil and infuse for about 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. Now, either way, once you have your herbal oil, you're going to want to strain it with a cheesecloth to make sure that your salve is really smooth. It doesn't have those kind of rough herbal bumps in it. Okay. I would recommend probably letting the oil cool if you've been boiling it just a little bit, so that you're not burning yourself when you're straining it too. That was something I learned, as you'll see on the video. Okay, cool. Okay, so you have your oil, and you strained it. Now, what I want you to do is put it back in the double boiler because we need to melt it and combine it with these other ingredients. So really the only other ingredient you need is beeswax so that it's not just liquid, so that it solidifies. The amount of beeswax you use is going to be based on how like smooth or hard you want your salve to be. And this is really something I can't give you a measurement on. You can see how I did it in the video. But I would say, chop up a few pieces or use, a little handful of the pellets if you're using the pellets, and experiment. You might need to do a couple of batches. So start small and you'll be able to adjust how you like it. And then at this stage, as you're melting the beeswax, you can also put in any other skin nourishing ingredients that you want. That's going to be, things like shea butter if you want other carrier oils in there. And if you want any skin safe essential oils for a scent or added benefits, you can add those at this time. Like I used liquid cocoa butter and a little bit of coconut oil and a little bit of rosemary essential oil added to mine. But you can experiment, do what you like. I do want to say though, I didn't say this at the beginning, but after you have your oil, before you're making your salve, it's always good to do a little patch test. So what I mean by that is, as you can see in the photo, taking a little bit of the oil, or if you've already done the salve, a little bit of the salve, and just putting a tiny, tiny bit on a tiny, tiny bit of your skin and waiting 24 hours to see if you have an allergic reaction. Because sometimes you are allergic to an herb or an essential oil or an ingredient and you don't know, and you want to know that before you've rubbed the whole thing all over your body. Okay, cool. Patch tests, very important. All right, cool. So that's pretty much it. So what you're gonna do is pour that oil, again, being very careful, into your containers. You want to let it cool a little bit first, but it's a balance because if you let it cool too much, it's gonna harden. So what I would say is let it cool a little bit so you're not handling, so much boiling oil. And then very gently pour it into your containers and just let those containers sit until it's hardened. And then once that's done, store it somewhere cool, not in direct sunlight so it doesn't melt. And that's it. And then you have salve and it's wonderful and you can use it all types of ways. Now, so let's see. Let's see what that looks like here. Cool. So these are all my ingredients all laid out. You can see my cheesecloth in the middle. Okay, so this is me creating my double boiler. It is not a fancy one, but it works pretty well. Okay, so there's my cocoa butter. So this would be any of the carrier oil that you're using. Okay, so I have my rosemary, my chamomile, my desert sage, and then some lavender. And I have a mortar and pestle. You can also use a blender or a food processor. And once they're grinded, put them in the oil. You can stir it. You don't have to stir it. I just think it makes it a little more even. And then you leave it. So I left it for 45 minutes. Okay. Really the hardest part is this part right here. So take your time getting that bowl out of the oil. Okay. Great. It's the straining process. I did not use enough cheesecloth here. I would recommend using about double the amount I used because you can see it kind of falls through on me. There's it falling through. It was also very hot. But anyway, so you strain it through and you get this really nice clear oil afterwards. Okay, so you go back to the double boiler, put the bowl, put the oil. So this is the beeswax. So you can see I didn't add too much, and I'm really happy with the consistency I got because I like it a little more like lotion. Of course, I'm adding some coconut oil, a little bit of rosemary. I would probably add like 5 drops, depending on how strong. I added 2 and it wasn't quite enough. Okay, you want to stir to incorporate all those. And you don't need to like let it cook or let it infuse. Once the beeswax is melted, you are ready to go. Pour it into your container. Using a funnel at this stage can be really helpful. I spilled a lot of mine because I didn't use a funnel. And there you go. That's what it's going to look like before it's drying. That's after it's hardened. Okay. And then this is just a little demo of what it's going to look like as you use it on your skin. Right. And it looks kind of greasy when it's first on, but depending on your balance, it'll really sink into the skin and moisturize. So don't be too worried if it's kind of greasy when you first put it on. And you can always change your recipe after. Okay, beautiful. So it's kind of a fast demo. So I invite you to really go back to this video, pause it at each step. Your Astro-Herbalism guide, the PDF. Um, let's see, I don't know if that shared it for you. Let's see. It did not here. Let me bring that up. Okay. So your Astro-Herbalism PDF here is gonna give it to you totally broken down into step by step. So if you are a written person, you like to read instructions, then it's going to give you that step by step right here. So here's how to blend the teas, some lists for you. It's a really good PDF, if I do say so myself. So this is how to make the balms. So if you really want it written out, it's going to be right there for you. No worries. Great. So I really hope that these tea blends and these salves are really practical and useful for you, that they help you feel balanced, they help you feel happy, more focused, whatever it is that you're working on. And really, I want to hear how it goes. So please email me, please reach out on Instagram, please let me know if you have any questions. Or if you're stuck on a certain step or you want some tips, anything like that. I am here and I'm happy to help. So here is my contact information. You can see here's my email, website, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And this was such a joy. So please let me know what you think and how it goes for you. All right, lovely. I will talk to you soon.